So, first shape we're going to look at is the class knows that Mr. Denodia loves tea. I drink a lot of tea. This shape that we talked about last class, and we've talked about a little bit this class too, some nice Earl Grey cream tea in this fancy tea canister. So, first of all, what shape is this?
A cylinder.
Okay. So, based on your reading, how would we figure out the area of this?
We would do 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r height. That's
Right.
the formula.
Yeah. So, and do you remember where that comes from? Pi r squared for this.
Is the area of a circle.
Yep, top and bottom, right?
Yep.
That's why it's the 2. And then what was the other one? The middle part?
That would be 2 pi r radius and then height. So that's for the...
Right, so that is the circumference,
Yep.
right, times the height.
Yep.
So we're actually going to go ahead and measure that out, and we'll be back with you in a second. Okay, so we actually did some measurements on this. We got out our handy-dandy tape measure. And for the purpose of this, we're going to do it in inches. At the point in geometry, you never know. Phone's off in class.
So sorry.
It's okay.
No.
Or just go on your phone in class, that's fine.
Okay, my class is canceled tomorrow, so I need to know that.
Okay, I just gave Hannah detention for talking on her phone in class. But like I was saying, we found the surface area and volume of this. So for this, we're going to just do everything in inches. For the introduction unit to geometry, it's easier to keep things in units kids have seen. You don't want to confuse them when they're just learning these concepts with, doing all these like ounces and all these different conversions. That's for they've already done some conversions, but it gets confusing when you mix conversions into a new concept. So that's later on. For the actual introduction stuff, we're just going to do everything in inches. So we found the volume of this at approximately 60 inches cubed, and we found the surface area of it at approximately 90 square inches. So the next thing that we're going to do is I prepared a couple other shapes. We've got our a water jug, empty water jug, and we've got it's from our good friend Kylie Jenner again. We've got a box here, and I would give these to different groups to take measurements of and find the surface area and the volume of. So we only have one student here, so we're just going to do it together, and we'll get back to you when we figure it out.
Give me the Kylie box.
Okay, so we have finished these together. The box our good friend Kylie Jenner sent us. Is this a different box from last time or the same box?
It's a different box.
Guys, how do you know when your girlfriend has a makeup addiction? So, what is the area of this?
324 inches squared.
Okay. And then what is the volume of this?
486 inches cubed.
So for this one, the volume was bigger than the area, surface area, right? So that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
When we're doing packages, we want, bigger inside. Makes sense. What about this one?
The volume was...
Now, before we start, I gotta say this one actually surprised me. So I Googled it and I checked it, and they were right. And it actually has, sorry, Kylie. It actually has a volume on it. So we double checked by converting the ounces to cubic inches, and it was actually the same. So go ahead and read them.
So the volume is 180 inches cubed, and the area is 664 inches squared.
Right. So it doesn't seem like the volume of this should be that much more, but it actually is.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why that is. I think maybe because it's made of a recyclable material like plastic, they're not as worried about they're not as worried about as the material that they're making it of as they are with like a box.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know that I would actually use this in a class because that seems a little confusing. So maybe we'll cut this example out for if I use this lesson, actually. Lesson.
If I use this lesson.
So last thing we're going to do is the hanger. It's kind of hard to see. Oh, it works against my shirt there. Last thing on our chart that we haven't addressed. So when we look at this hanger, this is our first kind of complex shape, right?
Yeah.
But when you think about it, really what is the hanger?
It's like a triangle.
Okay, yeah, so it is a triangle, but maybe it'll help if you look at just the tip.
Oh, okay, so it's like a cylinder, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like one long cylinder,
Yeah.
right? And it's just bent up. So how could we find the surface area and volume of this? Well, we could do it the same way as this,
Yeah.
right? We just got to take into account that it's bent.
Mhm.
So that's actually why we've been using tape measures today, is because it'll be easier to measure the bent sections of this. So what do we need? We know we need the radius, which would be this part right here.
Yep.
Right? We know we're going to need a length, a total length. And then I'm going to give you a second to look at this. There's one more special characteristic of this that we're going to have to take into account, and it's going to come into play when we're dealing with the surface area. So I'm going to give you a second to look at this and see if you can figure it out.
So is it that we only need one, like, tip to it?
Say that one more time.
We only need one tip?
Oh,
Like-
yeah. So because it's actually joined here,
Yeah.
right, this little bit doesn't count towards the surface area because there's only one tip.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a really, really small little bit that it's going to be careful. That it's going to change the answer, but you know, in math, little bits can make a big difference.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and find the values on this, and we'll get right back to you.
So the radius was 0.125.
So that was the radius, which is half of this. So this is
Yeah.
a 1/4 inch. Little smaller, but our measuring tape isn't that great. It only goes in 1/4 inches, so that's what we're gonna go with.
Yeah.
This will be approximate.
The length was 38 inches.
Yep.
The area was 0.15, the area of the top.
So that was this little bit on
Yeah.
the top.
The circumference was 0.79.
Okay, and that is once again of the
This part.
Yeah, the circular part.
The volume is 1.9 inches cubed,
And then what was the surface area?
30.17.
So that makes a little more sense, right?
Yeah,
When you
that
look at
makes a
how
lot of
much
sense.
Surface area we got here. So I think that's about it, unless you have any questions.
No, I think you did a really good job explaining it.
So look back at your L section.
Mm-hmm.
Did we accomplish our goal of this hanger?
Yes.
Okay. So I think for at least this student, we've accomplished all of our goals on the KWL chart. All right, that was my lesson on geometry. Hopefully it doesn't run too long. I tried to keep it short as possible and cut out all the measuring and all the boring stuff. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed.